Hi everyone, Kartik Krishnaiyer here for From the Pavilion. The T20 World Cup starts tomorrow. We've got 3 matches. We've got Pakistan against the Netherlands in the opening match in Colombo. Then we have I think what will be a interesting match between West Indies and Scotland, because that is, of course, a matchup where Scotland got into this tournament at the last minute because of Bangladesh's withdrawal, of the whole controversy about that, the politics around that, which we probably will be forced to talk a little bit more about. And then, of course, USA and India. Big note coming out of the USA's warm-up match against New Zealand, where the US almost chased down a pretty daunting target of 208. Jessy Singh, the vice captain for the United States, goes down. This is going to create, I think, an issue with the US's bowlers in terms of there are probably 4 overs that Jessy Singh would have bowled. And we saw Monak, the captain, try and work around that in this warm-up match with New Zealand. If Jessy is not able to go, I suspect he won't be able to go. The injury looked quite bad. He had to be stretchered off in ambulance in Navi Mumbai. I think maybe you see Stephen Taylor called in, or does the U.S. go with 14? It's a long way to go to India, but you still can make one change before the tournament does begin. So let's start with Pakistan and the Netherlands. That will be starting at 11 a.m. local time. Now, there is going to be a lot of controversy over Pakistan in this tournament due to the government ordering the Pakistani team to boycott the February 15th clash with India and effectively forfeiting 2 points. And I think this means Pakistan, to reach the Super 8s, must sweep the Netherlands, USA, and Namibia. So 3 matches they'll be favored in, but there's no margin for error. And quite honestly, maybe they would have dropped the 2 points to India anyway, given the strength of the India squad right now. But Pakistan's bowlers are in form. Their spinners have looked really good. Saim Ayub has become maybe the best all-rounder in the world, and at least at the T20 level. And I think he is really a key. Ahmed and Nawaz are really good spinners, and Pakistan's spin bowlers have not been as great recently as they historically had been. So I think Pakistan is certainly the favorite in this match. I do think they are the overwhelming favorites, although the Netherlands have been pretty good at times, and certainly one of the stronger associate nations coming into this tournament. There is a potential of storms in Colombo tomorrow, which means we might have reduced overs. And if we have reduced overs, that would help the Netherlands. I think in a 20-over match, Pakistan, I would give them 90% chance of winning. So I do like the veteran core of the Netherlands. I spent some time around them in 2024. That veteran core, which included Scott Edwards and De Lede and Van der Meer, they were all here in Fort Lauderdale area, South Florida, for their warm-up matches and their training, and I got to know the team a little bit. I think that they have been giant killers in the past. I just think that they might need the reduced over here in terms of what we might see from them in this match. And I think that that's something, to me, that's fairly significant in terms of where we go in this tournament for Pakistan, because Pakistan, I think at this point they're take the political stuff out of it. I think they're performing at a level that is much stronger than the way they performed going into the 2024 edition of the tournament, where, of course, they were defeated by the United States. So let's go to the second match, which is at Eden Gardens, the famous Eden Gardens, one of the oldest cricket grounds in the world, in Kolkata. West Indies playing Scotland. This was a match Bangladesh didn't want to play in. They didn't want to play in Eden Gardens. And again, we will get into the politics during this tournament, but my understanding is that there were cricket boards, state cricket boards in India that were willing to accommodate Bangladesh, not in Bengal, but accommodate Bangladesh to rearrange fixtures to play somewhere in South India where there might be less tension, where the security would be better, and Bangladesh refused that. So this is part of why the ICC made the decision they made. There's been some misrepresentation, and it's highly charged, highly political, highly religious, unfortunately, highly ethnic, unfortunately. But the politics, you can't keep the politics out of this. Will the Windies survive this tournament? They have not performed well since getting to the Super 8s in the 2024 World Cup, at being eliminated in the Super 8s. They have lost Nicholas Puran, who I think was their best player, and was right in the middle of their order. And I just don't see how they replace him. I remember Scotland beating the West Indies in 2022, and in Watt and Leisic, they have kind of an economy there in their bowling. And these two are great spin bowlers. They ended up playing a reduced overs match against England in the 2024 edition in the West Indies. And I think if that had gone 20 overs with those two, they may have given England a run for their money. And I wonder if the high scoring that we tend to see at Eden Gardens, and maybe this benefits the Windies in this match. So I think they probably win if they get going. They have an opportunity to get going, but the track there also could play into the hands of those spinners from Scotland. So Watt in particular, I think he'll get 4 overs. He might be able to slow down the Windies' attack. So those are those two matches. Let's get to India and the U.S. We mentioned Jessy Singh's injury. As of this recording, we do not know if Stephen Taylor is going to be called in, if Jessy Singh's out for the entire tournament. At the very least, he's definitely out for this match against India, if you saw the injury live or on television, which I did. So this is a new India. No Kohli, no Rohit Sharma. They're the defending champions. This is Yadav's team, right? He's the guy now. Kishan, Sanju Samson. He's quite good. Now for us, for the U.S., I say us. We're going to try and be objective on this show, but we are Americans. I think we see a lot of versatility. The warm-up match against New Zealand left me with a lot more hope than I had before. I think you saw more overs for Van Schalwijk because of the injury to Jessy. So in terms of bowling, and he did quite well. And you lose Andres Gauss on the very first ball. You lose a wicket, and you lose the wicket of your guy that's leading the order. And yet the U.S. rallied and almost got to that target, that daunting target of 208. The middle of the order was very good for the U.S. in this match, and in the New Zealand match. Maybe it indicates more concerns about New Zealand than I thought. What does Monarch do with his bowlers? I think Netravalkar will get 4 overs. Ali Khan will get 4 overs. I think Van Schalwijk gets 4 overs. Okay, so that's that, and those are different types of bowlers. Netravalkar's. Let's talk about Netravalkar against India 2 years ago, and obviously he came up through the Indian system. He's one of the U.S. players that actually played in India. and played in the Indian Youth Center. Netravalkar's left arm angle and the kind of trap right-hander, I'm trying to describe this angled bowling he has. It caused some difficulty for India in New York or in Nassau County 2 years ago. Now, interestingly enough, the match turned when Netravalkar dropped what should have been a wicket, right? He misjudged the ball, and then India rallied. But the U.S. had India on the ropes in that match for a little bit. Now, these conditions will be very different. This track will play very differently. It's going to be a high-scoring match. I do think the goal for the U.S. is to keep it a match. Okay, and what we saw from in the New Zealand match is that the middle of the order for the U.S. was particularly critical after losing 2 wickets in the first 8 balls, and it has not been ideal preparation for the U.S. coming into this tournament. There's no question about that. With USA cricket suspended and the lack of internationals that have been played by the U.S. So what I really liked in the New Zealand match was Milland, how he approached the balls he faced. So he was looking for runs, but he was very judicious about when he tried to play through the creases and bring the boundary into play. He wanted to keep the runs flowing. So a lot of ones and twos from him in the different partnerships he had, because there were guys who lost their wicket alongside him. Now this was what he was able to do against Pakistan last year. And if you remember, Aaron Jones was on strike, and then Jones is off strike for the last ball in the 20th over. Final ball goes to Milland, who you didn't want on strike at that point. But he gets a boundary. And he was doing similar things when he was paired with Manak and when he was paired with others in the New Zealand match. So I really liked how he approached his batting. Again, I mean, there's no question. India is an overwhelming favorite. There's a 95% chance or better that they're going to win this match. But the U.S. has shown that they can hang in these matches, and you want to minimize the run rate. So that's important. So let's talk a little bit about Netravalkar, because this is a homecoming for him, coming back to Mumbai. Netravalkar was born in Mumbai. He grew up playing in the very structured youth structures of Mumbai. This is why so many great cricketers have come out of Mumbai through the years, and why India historically has the best cricketers in India have come out of the biggest urban areas. Kind of like football, or what I call football, soccer in this country, in the United States, where for years the best footballers came out of northern New Jersey, Long Island, Southern California, Southern Florida, and the Chicagoland area, where there were structured youth leagues. India, very similar in cricket. Now India is doing a great job with their youth development in cricket. They didn't always do that, which is why they've underachieved historically. Now, they're not underachieving recently, but they've underachieved historically. So Netravalkar made his first class debut in Mumbai in 2013. And he was on a team with Yadav. And he is a player they know well. He moved to the U.S. when he studied at Cornell, and of course famously now works at Oracle. And he struggled to play international cricket again. I mean, there were guys in the U.S. team like Ali Khan. I mentioned Ali Khan. He's a mainstay. I think this will be his last tournament, right? I don't even know if we'll see him after this tournament in a U.S. shirt. Ali Khan, who's Pakistani-born, has been a mainstay, right? He's been with the U.S. since 2015, 2016, playing internationally, and has been our best pace bowler, I would say, ever. Netravalkar came to the U.S. team late, And he never thought he was going to play international cricket again after he kind of flamed out with the Indian youth sides and decided to pursue engineering at Cornell. But became a hero in the 2024 T20 World Cup. They ran stories about him on NBC Nightly News and the Today Show and Good Morning America, where he was, because he bowled that super over against Pakistan. And great economy for him throughout much of that tournament, including against India. And now he's back in Mumbai. Now he's going to get to play in his hometown. So that could be a real advantage for him psychologically. Him, Milind Kumar, as I mentioned, and Harmeet Singh all grew up in India, played in the Indian youth setup before moving to the U.S. The rest of the Indian Americans in the team, South Asians, are a lot of them were born in the U.S. and grew up in the U.S. I don't want to go through the entire roster here, but and others were born in India but moved to the U.S. at a young age and learned cricket in the U.S. youth systems, or in one case in the Canadian youth system. That's a sore subject for our Canadian friends, our friends north of the border, with one specific player, but this is kind of how I think the U.S. stays in it. Netravalkar economy with his overs. Gauss keeping his wicket for longer than one ball. Certainly, longer than I think 2 overs potentially. That could keep the match interesting. Keep that net run rate down. You're going to lose. You're going to lose to India. There's no question about that, particularly in Mumbai. Keep that run rate down. Maybe live to fight another day against Pakistan on Tuesday down in Colombo. And then, of course, I think the Netherlands match and the Namibia match are accessible. I really like how Namibia has played recently. So I think the U.S. is probably an underdog in all 4 matches, considering the lack of preparation as a unit. But certainly the hardest match gets out of the way first. And I think the hardest warm-up match was playing New Zealand. The hardest potential warm-up match, unless you can schedule a warm-up match against South Africa. And they were able to get through that, which is, I think, phenomenal, right? They only lost by 7 runs, lost, I think, 8 wickets in the end. But the middle of the order was phenomenal, and it was great preparation for this tournament, other than losing Jessy Singh. So we will be back with you tomorrow after that match. And after the other matches, we'll wrap them up. And obviously, we have an emphasis on the U.S. on this show, but we're also going to be talking about everything else. We'll be previewing the nations that swing into action on Sunday, including England, who I have tipped to be a threat in this tournament, who I think could push. I said earlier in the week I thought Australia could push India. I'm kind of backing off of that. This is what happens before. For those of you who know me from football, soccer, I do this before major international tournaments. I'm always kind of saying, I think Croatia's going to win this tournament. And then, no, wait a second. I think Belgium will. I do that before tournaments, the week before tournaments. But I'm sticking with England as a country to push India. I'm not sure about Australia coming into this tournament. I kind of like what I've seen from New Zealand, even though the U.S. match would leave you a little anxious. I don't like what I see from the West Indies. The potentially we could see 1 or 2 of the African sides outside of South Africa do well. Namibia, I mentioned, and I've also mentioned, I don't think I mentioned, but I think Zimbabwe's preparation has been pretty good for this tournament. So we'll see. But we will be back with you tomorrow. Thank you. Enjoy your cricket and enjoy the tournament.